Welcome in everyone to Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something that we don't talk about here. My name is Matt, this is Dyl joining me today, and we're going to be talking about Disney Animation's new film, Strange World. So Strange World is a film that has been talked about all year long, has been predicted to be Disney's big hitter of the year. They always have one. They always have one film that comes in and just, is a critical success, is an audience success, and is an awards and box office success. Strange World seemed like it was going to be that movie, but it has been kind of flopping a little bit. We both got a chance to see it this week, and Dylan, what are your overall thoughts on the film? Just in general, what is your feeling towards this much maligned Disney film?
So initially, my first take is I don't understand why people are saying it's so bad. I fully get why people aren't saying it's good, but I don't get the overt negative hate this movie's getting per se. Mm-hmm. But overall, I thought it was a fun time, sort of. I thought the voice cast was actually pretty good. All things considered, and I thought there was a lot of good messaging throughout the film. Just was it the most interesting throughout? Maybe not, but it's nothing I would be like, oh, I wasted my time watching this movie. I'm very let down by what I saw. This is awful. No, it wouldn't be that. If anything, I would be like, yeah, watch this when it hits Disney Plus in a month, or your kids could like it, or your cousins could like it. They may think it looks cool, or something here or there. That's just kind of how I feel overall. Nothing overtly super high, but nothing overtly super low.
That makes sense to me. I mean, it's kind of a very plain film, I'd say overall. It has some very good parts to it. So I got to see this film at the AMC in Disney Springs. I was very happy to do that because, I'm in Disney and I get a chance to see the brand new Disney movie there. That was an experience that I was very happy about. I haven't been a huge fan of Disney's animated films recently, but I was very excited to see this anyways. I had a good time with it, even though I was pretty let down by it. I didn't really enjoy it a whole lot. I wouldn't say it was overtly bad, but what I would say is that I think that the themes and the messaging is very muddled and very confused. It's not confusing themes. It just feels like the central metaphor that they're working with in the story doesn't really align or fully make sense with what they're trying to say, I guess. It kind of clashes, and there's some things that just feel very off about this. And if I were to compare this to anything, it reminds me a lot of those two CG hand-drawn hybrid films that Disney did in the early 2000s, Treasure Planet and Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Both films were sort of cult classics that came out and no one went to see them because they were horribly marketed and, they didn't really appeal to Disney's base at all. And they were kind of forgotten about very quickly. And Strange World feels like it's following in those footsteps. It feels like kind of exactly the same type of film as those two. I think it would make a great trilogy of forgotten Disney action-adventure films. But yeah, overall, I was definitely let down. Although I did have a pretty good time at points. I just think thematically it's so all over the place.
I can see that. You mentioned let down, and that's one thing Cinema Score tracks. We talked about Cinema Score last week with Bones and All, and Bones and All got a very good Cinema Score for its type of movie. In fact, it got the same Cinema Score as Strange World. You would never think cannibal movie and Disney anime movie, same Cinema Score. That means audience come out of the movie happy or not happy. They both got a B+. And that's the lowest Disney animation Cinema Score of all time.
Yeah, lower than Chicken Little.
Yeah, lower than Chicken Little. And Home on the Range, too, while we're at it. But what about this movie to you? Because you mentioned being let down by it. What do you think was the overall thing that made people come out like you said, let down, or this maybe not for you, but for other people, a waste of time?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a few things, and I'll put forward a few of the theories I have of why people were so and I wouldn't even say people were so pissed about this film or so annoyed at this, because B isn't a bad score. It's just a bad score for this type of film. For a Disney movie, it's a bad score. But in general, a B is not a bad score. But I think that some families might have come out of the film on the opening weekend and not rated it as highly for a few reasons. I think for one thing, the story doesn't feel as original or unique or exciting as could have been. It kind of follows a lot of the tropes of, father-son relationships we've seen in a billion films a billion times before. But I think here's another thing. We're in an age where I think a lot of parents are becoming more and more reactionary. I think that a lot of propaganda has very successfully targeted parents of young children. Talking about things that don't exist. Like, you have parents on the internet talking about how their kids are being indoctrinated at school by having a litter box in the classroom. Like stuff like that, which is just bullshit propaganda. And I think that some parents might be upset with Strange World, not just for the representation of the LGBT community in the film, which is why the film is being review bombed and currently has a 4.7 on IMDb. It's being review bombed for its representation of gayness in it. But I think even more than that, the reason why the film probably got a low cinema score is for the messaging about alternative energy. And not about alternative energy, but about abolishing fossil fuels and getting rid of fossil fuels. The thematic reliance on that and the way that it relays its message in a way that kind of lacks nuance, I think that could be pissing off a lot of parents who are then walking out of the theater with their kids afterwards and not giving the film a good score when someone comes up to poll them on, hey, what do you think of this new Disney film? There could be a lot of reactionary parents who feel very, very betrayed by going to see a brand new Disney movie and getting a message on moving away from fossil fuels.
So, with all that mentioned, what everyone wants to know, is this in? Is this out? Best animated feature. There's been a lot of talk with Pinocchio running away with the win, with Marcel rising because it's eligible. You got Turning Red, another Disney Pixar release from this year. And then you have Puss in Boots and The Bad Guys from Universal. And then you have My Father's Dragon from Netflix. So there's a lot of competitors out there right now. But at this moment right now, after seeing the film, after its reaction from critics, from general audiences, with it seeming downhill, do you think the animation style, because at least personally, I thought the animation in this movie was really beautiful. It looked really good, which we've seen in the past. The Academy will nominate a film just because it looks good, while it got horrible reviews, The Boss Baby, for example. But this year, it's a little bit more competitive than some other years. So do you think this is officially dead in the race, or do you think it's still fighting for that fifth spot?
Well, on what you said about the beauty of the film, I think it's a really beautiful film. And here's something that I thought the entire time. I wonder if you felt the same thing. Did this film remind you of Avatar? Did it make you feel like they were trying to replicate Avatar?
I didn't think it in the moment, but now reflecting on it, there are a few creatures in the film that do look like the Banshees or some random animals in the Na'vi village. There's another movie
down to... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's another movie that Strange World really reminded me of, but if I say that name, it's a complete spoiler for what Strange World's actually about. But now that you mention it, yeah, this does remind me a lot of, I guess, the visuals of Avatar.
Yeah, is it a certain film about... man, I can't even say it either. Are the initials of the film OJ?
Not OJ, but O. Yeah, actually, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, OJ.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're thinking of the same film. Yeah. No, but okay, here's why I thought about Avatar with it, is because, I mean, the whole reason why people loved Avatar so much and the marketability of Avatar was because it was set on this strange planet, this strange world that people wanted to explore. And I think that's what Disney was trying to do here, is to create this fantastic, beautiful world for kids to watch and fall in love with. And I don't think that they fully succeeded, but even down to the fact that they called the plant that provided them energy Pando, like Pandora. The entire time I was like, oh my god, Disney's just trying to copy Avatar here. Even though they own Avatar and Avatar's coming out in 2 weeks. They're just trying to ape on Avatar and, do what Avatar did all the way to the bank.
Well, that won't be
interesting.
That's not the first time Disney's done that this year with capitalizing off of Avatar and another one of their movies.
Exactly.
But still, question still stands. Do you have this in your
Yes.
5 or is this out?
It's out of my 5. I've got it at number 7 right now for animation. I do not think this is getting nominated. Not just because of what I mentioned about reactionary parents and, all of that. That's not really going to affect the way that the Academy views it. It's just going to affect the way that the box office is for the film. It's going to affect how it lands on Disney Plus. It's going to affect a lot of those things. There will be a lot of parents that refuse to watch this film or think it's really bad for their kids or whatever. I don't agree with that. I think it's got some valuable messages, even if the messages are very mixed and muddled and confused. But when it comes to voters, I just think that the film itself doesn't really deliver fully on the promise of its premise. I think it feels a little bit derivative at times, and ultimately it kind of makes Lightyear look a lot better in comparison. I raised up Lightyear this week. Lightyear is up just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. And I think the only reason we're even considering this for the top 5 is because it's a November release. If this were a summer release, if we swapped Lightyear and Strange World spots, we'd have no question about it. Strange World's out. So right now, my top 5 is Pinocchio. Oh my god, why am I losing names of films? Turning Red, thank you. Turning Red, Puss in Boots, Marcel the Shell, and The Bad Guys.
Interesting. You got 2 Universal movies in there. Universal has not gotten 2 movies in for Best Animation Feature in a long time. I don't have the stat on hand. They can do it this year. But I saw it the other day. I also have Strange World out. It's my number 6. I have My Father's Dragon in my top 5, and I took out The Bad Guys.
Actually, I'm wrong. I just looked back. I do have My Father's Dragon in at number 4, and I have Bad Guys at number 6. So my top 5, Pinocchio, Turning Red, Puss in Boots, My Father's Dragon, Marcel the Shell.
Cool. We have the same 5. I have Bad Guys down at 7 right now just because I don't think they're going to push it. I think they're going to put all their chips into Puss, which I think could be a good move. I like Bad Guys, but Puss in Boots, we got a few weeks. But everyone out there, let us know what you thought about Strange World. Did you venture out there? Do you know what the secret movie that Matt and I are talking about that this movie very much seems like? Let us know in the comments. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.